welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Beyond the Summit presentation of the International 2016 Chinese qualifiers. Here we got the regionals cdec versus Wings in about the fourth heat, or actually I believe it's the fifth heat now in the tournament, and we are going to be just here in day one for China at least, as the second day of the hub. I myself am Blaze, joined by none other than Andy Draskell Styles. How's it going, man?
I'm good. Ready to go. Ready to watch some more Wings. Just got a chance to cast them with Miracle, of course. They completely trounced Tong Fu in a 16-minute game with a support Warlock and a Clockwork. So, obviously not seeing the same picks here, but I'm excited because I think that Wings are kind of on the upswing here.
Oh, absolutely. They have a really good level of draft diversity, and essentially in my personal opinion, I think that Wings is capable of being the best team in China on some days. Even compared to teams such as Newbee and eHome and LGD, I really do think that Wings Gaming have the potential with their overall, what they bring to their drafts, what they bring to their aggression across the map. But the problem with Wings is that they kind of sometimes play themselves. They kind of try to go for too many things at once, and in the middle major in particular, we got to see them underperform in general. So hoping to see the Wings that will be able to push forward here. As far as current score lines here in the groups, with that win over Tong Fu, you're looking at 2-1 for Wings, while I believe cdec is hovering around 1-1. So still pretty early to determine anybody's fate here in the qualifier, but every match counts here, as the top 5 will be at least going to the playoff bracket, with the top 1 getting that direct invite to the International.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how Wings deal with the Death Prophet. The answer they had last time was a Clockwork and a Warlock, but already seeing the cdec opening of taking the Earth Spirit first, the counterplay is pretty much always to pick up Oracle. It's just too good to pass up. I mean, you have Fade cdec just taking away a lot of the magic damage that can be dealt, while also being able to use Fortune's End to just straight up purge a silence or the damage over time on somebody else. It's just a very strong utility against it. Also makes it so if cdec wanted to go for something like Darkseer and Earth Spirit together, less incentive to do so. Oracle also good against that combination. Just a really solid overall opening. Doesn't really give away too many of what the laning phase stages are going to be here for Wings either, while as cdec, they're kind of sticking to more of the norm. And as you already said, Wings pretty much pick everything, so you never know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, for right now, it's a little bit bread and butter. I mean, the Oracle Beastmaster doesn't bring too much in terms of levels of complexity until you see the cores that they're building around.
Yeah.
Right now, Oracle is still been first phase, mostly in certain matchups. Obviously, the Darkseer is one hero that's threatened by it, but in general, any kind of offlaner that relies on actually sticking to the lane rather than getting zoned out, the Oracle can thrive against. And then from there, of course, you're looking for building up your cores that can self-heal or just lifesteal and keep them alive, keep them kicking. So Oracle obviously trying to kind of enable glass cannons. I could see maybe like a Phantom Assassin or something coming out here and just getting very aggressive, very active early on, thanks to this Oracle. But for now, Earth Spirit, Death Prophet, I mean, these guys want to execute well in the lanes, get a little bit of kill momentum, and turn that into towers.
Yeah, it should be quite easy. Exorcism is a pretty powerful tool. Seems like C and Chinese Dota have been loving that hero all throughout the qualifiers so far. It's really come back in a very, very big way in the past couple of weeks. But TB ban coming in from Wings, not really too surprising. The combination of those two, Death Prophet, and then having the TB on top of that just means that their pushing potential is ridiculous, and it's just straight up hard to engage into. So Wings just setting themselves up for success during the mid to late game stages, and still, like you mentioned, haven't seen any of the cores. If anybody was going to pick PA, it would probably be Wings, because they played Luna last game.
Exactly.
And nobody plays Luna.
Nope.
So
it was what, a Luna, Clockwork, and a Warlock all in one. So yeah, they definitely like to go for the unorthodox and find really just the optimal hero in terms of potential. So right now, a couple of meta picks being banned out. The Terrorblade we've been seeing a lot over the past 24 hours, and the Sven, it's more situational, but definitely one of the more potent heroes to bring to the table. And they're actually going to leave Darkseer in the pool because they know that the Oracle has the advantage over it. This Sven synergy is not going to be there, so they actually aren't really too worried about a Darkseer, even though it couples so well with the Earth Spirit.
I can't wait to see what the Wings are going to pick. Like, this is very quickly becoming one of my favorite Chinese teams. Like, I did watch a lot of their games previously. Yeah. Like, up until the major, of course, and maybe it wasn't exactly what they wanted out of it, but still, just because of their diversity is what makes them enjoyable. And this is actually probably one of the most staple heroes that Wings have in their arsenal, is the Elder Titan. They were one of in the forefronts of bringing this hero back into the meta, even like prior to the Echo Stomp being buffed. So looking for big things from this. I'm guessing it's probably just going to be support at this point. You could also opt to jungle the Beastmaster if you want, but having the ET and the Beastmaster together is a little bit telling, at least in regards to what the lanes are going to shape up to be here from Wings.
So, at the very least, they've got some good setup combos. I mean, you can get the Fortune's End going into the Astral Echo Stomp, so that's going to make it so that positioning is going to be really important for cdec. Mobile heroes would do very well for them. They've already kind of got very stagnant hero in terms of positioning for the Death Prophet, so they need to build around that quickly. Blink daggers on the hero like Slaughter would be really good. Obviously, they've got the quick jump for the Earth Spirit. I feel like they can't really telegraph their positioning too much in the early parts of the fights, or heroes like ET will just tear them apart.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just even getting roared, they don't have a swap save or anything like that. Sure, cdec can go back for that now since it's 4th pick, and I wouldn't hate to see them give some kind of protection to this Death Prophet, like maybe even a Dazzle, just to keep her alive during the engagement, because with the heroes that Wings are currently fielding right now, you can very easily get stun locked and bursted, and that's a very scary thought when your team is pretty much meant to siege. And Elder Titan does a great job in of itself of stopping a siege and like breaking up this very tanky front line that is very scary to engage into. And on top of that now, you even have the Invoker. So you get a Beastmaster Roar. If he decides to go for Exort, you can follow it up with a Sunstrike. Even Quaswex, I don't think is too bad, given their lineup, because we haven't even seen their position 1. So their options are just wide open.
Yeah, but Blink, I mean, this is one of his best heroes by far. I mean, the win rates aren't much to brag about recently because Wings haven't been performing to their expectations over the past month and a half, but in general, this is his signature. This is what Blink wants to bring to the table when you're looking for damage. And if you look at heroes like Beastmaster and Elder Titan, they're about enabling damage dealers, either by locking down a core, boosting attack speed, or by that aura, which, while it doesn't help pure damage, it's definitely going to be enabling things like the Meteor Deafening Blast. So I definitely think the Invoker is going to be able to bring a lot to this draft, but he is quite vulnerable to that Earth Spirit, and I might force the Oracle to maybe make a movement towards the mid lane and leave the safe laner a little bit more exposed.
I mean, it depends on their last pick, because right now, I guess, Wings are looking for definitely a safe lane hero, like without a doubt. And cdec, they most likely have offlane Slardar and support Earth Spirit, so their last support's going to be pretty static. Yeah, there's the Witch Doctor. Probably not going to be seeing too many rotations out of him and then their own safe lane unless they decide that they want to put Slardar position 1. But I don't think that it's really too big of an issue. As long as there's somebody sitting around mid, I think it would actually more likely be Elder Titan.
Yeah, that's true.
The Elder Titan just has a much easier time being disruptive in the early game, and Oracle, who more or less just sits back and casually throws like Fortune's End, which doesn't really contribute a whole heck of a lot. And I also feel that Elder Titan has a much easier time without a lot of levels, which sounds a bit counterintuitive, but if you think about it, Oracle, he really does need like level 7 or 8 before he really starts to come online, whereas Elder Titan level 3, 2 Echo Stomp, 1 Spirit, and you can just destroy a team fight or a gank by getting it off. It just seems like the hero is so powerful, even levels like 3 to 5, that even having Earth Splitter, while it being nice, it's not 100% necessary for the first couple of minutes.
I would really like to see actually a Mirana last pick for Wings. I feel like they already have a pretty good fast tempo lineup that around level 6 and beyond they can start getting very active on the map. A Primal Roar, Fortune's End, and the Echo Stomp can all set up arrows very nicely, and you can actually make it so that the Slaughter can't really get too active in that. Like if he's trying to push a Mirana out of lane, he's not going to be finding much success there. The Slark makes it a little bit more difficult to run a hero like that, but I'm trying to think of any options that go toe-to-toe with the Slark.
I mean, I always think about stuff like AM when you're in the situation, but I don't know if Wings actually want to play it, because it's a very risky pick.
There's so much physical damage, too.
Yeah, I mean, they want a hero that hits a really good timing. The issue is Lifestealer, Sven, Terrorblade, Jug, and Lycan are all banned. And cdec even went as far as second banning Dro, just because they were really scared of getting pushed down by the Wings opening. But yeah, we'll see what they do. I mean, there's a couple of choices. I wouldn't hate Wraith King, for example. I think Wraith King is really good at being able to stand frontline, natural blade mail carrier. When you have Elder Titan against Slark, Slark hates playing against Elder Titan solely because it's AoE spells, it's taking away all your natural base armor. You can just get destroyed by any sort of right click, and already having a Beastmaster on top of that makes it a bit scary. They're gonna go with the Void, so most likely Exort Invoker, I would imagine, definitely. After having picked this up.
Blink definitely prefers it as well, so it works out really well here. And Shadow going for that safe lane build-up. I mean, Faceless Void in the safe lane. Then we've seen a couple of different builds. We've seen Mushi go as Blink Aghanims, like as if he was an offlaner.
Yep.
We've seen the Manta Diffusal, obviously the Euro up thing is the Radiant's Vanguard, at least for Wagamama's sake. So, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of good options here, but the key thing is just that he finds a balance between farming and being involved. Those chronos are actually going to be pretty crucial here up against like Slark when he starts moving with the Shadow Blade. The Void needs to be able to help his team out.
Yeah, I think that it's more likely to be that Mushi build that you were talking about in this game. Just because if we're assuming that Blink's going the Exort build, they already have so much damage. Throwing a Spirit in there, Meteor Deafening, a good Blink Chrono can just devastate the side of cdec, but forced just 2 TPs immediately mid to try to get vision control here from both teams.
Yeah. So one Earth Spirit movement that I actually really like that I've seen a couple of Chinese teams do is you TP mid, but on the Earth Spirit you move south, you roll across the river, and then you're able to place wards, and there are so many different good ward spots that you can place throughout that process. So there's only a couple Chinese teams that do it as far as I've seen. In this case, they're actually going to smoke ward. Innocence is going to have a smoke to seat to move across the river and place the ward practically under tower, just outside of that vision range. So while it looks like the observer for cdec side is going to be pretty obvious, it is going to be the one from the Radiant that will be a little bit less exposed.
Yeah, and if you do a natural D ward spot, which is usually like in the middle of the river, it won't hit that ward either.
Yeah.
Which is a very, very nice spot. So both teams going to have full vision to mid. I would imagine that cdec get D-warded though. Wings with a better placement, and obviously, like you said, being under the guys of the smoke. But we'll see how the laning phase kind of shapes up here from cdec. They do have this kind of timing where, you know, the Death Prophet hits level 6, you get the Exorcism going, and then maybe you can look for team fights. But it is actually really hard to push into Wings lineup. Especially if, you know, Shadow gets his Chrono up relatively early. If they have that good early game on the Elder Titan, then you're looking at like Earth Splitter and Chrono at a very early stage, and sieging against that is an absolute nightmare.
Just realizing there is no courier currently picked up by Wings. They did go for the early boost on the Elder Titan.
Already?
There we go. Ice picking it up, or Ice picking up and dropping it on the ground for the ET. But yeah, they were so focused on what they were trying to do in terms of warding and early movement that they kind of forgot one of the fundamentals.
You know, sometimes you just get a little bit carried away. You're like, we got to get this vision up as soon as possible. Don't need the courier for at least the first like 30 seconds at least. Because once you get the bounty rune, then maybe, you know, Blink wants to ferry out a salve or something like that, but he's not even doing it yet.
Yeah. And of course, it's worth mentioning that Faith Beyond is going to be going into the jungle immediately with the Iron Talon here. I still would classify Innocence as the support ET here, and Beastmaster as an off-lane kind of forced away from home. Up against Witch Doctor Slark, if you're even remotely close to the Slark when the Witch Doctor is zoning you, you have to be a little bit worried about getting pounced on. And the boars actually don't help you in that environment. You can't really fight the Witch Doctor actively because you're just going to provide more bounce opportunities.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But the other thing, too, we can look at is the amount of pressure that just having Faith Beyond in the jungle puts on cdec. So now this Earth Spirit is walking around in the jungle saying, I need to try to stop this guy from getting anything, otherwise my presence on the map just doesn't matter. And because the support role Elder Titan is able to get like off-lane EXP, that's even a bigger boon to the side of Wings. So the early game, they're being more efficient with how they're using the map, and it's saying if cdec don't have a couple of good early exorcisms to kind of equalize that advantage, then Wings are just walking away with a laning phase win.
Yeah, it's really brutal for the Earth Spirit to try to contest Beastmaster particularly, because while he does slow the farm down, Beastmaster just has a really good raw base stats in terms of base damage, armor, so trading with him is not really going to be much of an option. It's only when he really goes gung-ho on the jungle that you're really going to be able to do anything. So he wants to not only put pressure on the Beastmaster, but he wants to get involved in the mid lane. And with an Invisrune, they actually have a really good opportunity for this. The Cask could bounce to the forward Spirit, but they have to be a little bit more patient here, as they've got a few decent little bit more time on the Invisrune. But for Spirit, can he get the roll in? Yes, with this Cask, he certainly will, and that is going to be a lot of damage coming to Blink, but trying to turn around the Sunstrike. The first blood goes to Blink here, and even some Boar Slow action pushing super back. So here, really nicely done. Just Sunstrike, all perfectly on the mark, doesn't split the damage, and a little bit of Forward Spirit right-click damage will actually kill the Squishy's target in the Earth Spirit.
That was a sick Sunstrike. I did not think that was going to land, because sometimes you throw out a Sunstrike and you imagine that all you have to do is like turn. So bottom lane,
Ice very low here. Sunstrike's going to help out in the process too, but can they get enough damage to burst down? Yeah, with this Purifying Flames Tango heal, he's going to be perfectly healthy, and the 2 versus 2 favors cdec to get them a 2-to-1 kill total.
Man, that was really close. Singed a couple of hairs, I think, on the starter there, but not quite landing. But all in all, I'd say cdec are the ones who really do need to be bullying in the lanes, just because, again, we do have that Faith Beyond Beastmaster.
Oh, Sunstrike after the Echo Stomp. It's going to be Rabbit going down. Oh, the Slark should not be dying in this environment. He really should be safe and sound, very secure, but prior to level 6, if you're not willing to buy enough regen for yourself, it's very likely a Slark just overstays his welcome, and Echo Stomp Sunstrike is a very effective combo that you don't see very often.
I didn't even really think about that until I saw it. I mean, the sleep duration at level 1 is only 2 seconds anyway, so he had to be pretty much on point with that. He needed to know that the stomp was going off straight away, and interestingly enough, Rabbit buying an Iron Talon on Slark.
Yeah, actually, I noted that as well. Do you have any real explanation for this? I mean, it works with Dark Pack jungling well, because you're AoE clearing, and you just want to nuke down the biggest one a little bit, but is it really that valuable of an item slot when you could go for more mana regen?
I don't know if I like it personally. Like, just a normal quelling is usually enough, but maybe Rabbit wants to push out the lane. Like, normally when you're farming the safe lane, you want to push out and then just do creep pulls, and maybe he wants to use it to kill the creeps in the woods when he's doing pulls, so that way he's being more efficient with his farm. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We'll see how he progresses with it. In the meantime, yeah, he'll be a little mana starved, but he should still be able to kind of get what he wants to done. Gonna be a Fortune's End coming out here onto Yao. Sunstrike following that up. So many setups, but unfortunately, they're not able to get the last Purifying Flames to nuke down that Slardar. So, twice now, the Slardar will elude death. But you just gotta look at every lane and realize how great of a Sunstrike game this is. This is a 4th pick Invoker, but you know that Wings from the get-go was considering how they could enable Blink to succeed.
He's pretty much been on point. He's only missed 1 Sunstrike thus far.
And his item's still actually going to be caught out here a little bit. Nice stomp throw back, but he's only going to be slowed a moderate amount. So when the Echo Stomp comes in, it's going to be Blink that could turn around against them. They really do want to bring him down because obviously he's level 6. He's gaining a lot of momentum this game, but easier said than done.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that cdec have not been able to apply maybe quite as much pressure onto Blink as they would have wanted to, and I think a lot of it just has to do with the fact that Infuse Raindrop as an item makes the Earth Spirit early rotations a lot weaker.
Yeah.
Because normally you go in and you deal that guaranteed damage, you get the slow, but just having, you know, that 120 damage block on top of all the Earth Spirit spells that he throws at you, it just feels very lackluster whenever he starts to rotate out, and even just putting it on top of the Crypt Swarm too.
Yeah, I really like this this kind of transitional item in the Infused Raindrop pre-Midas, where not only are you able to survive a gank or two, but you're also going to be getting that extended mana regen. Invoker's gotten a number of intelligence nerfs over the past several patches, so getting just Bassy and Infused Raindrops early gets your mana regen up to what it needs to be to keep these Sunstrikes coming out.
Yeah, it's very, very true. Speaking of, he's just throwing out Sunstrikes now into the woods just to make
Yao
sure.
might be going down here. Can they get the follow-through? Oh, no, so they're just trying to Purifying Flames nuke it, and it will be enough with that. I believe it was a bash. It was a lot of damage coming out from Shadow, and they finally bring this Slardar down.
I think it was 2 bashes, actually.
Yeah.
He got one before he got to the tower, and I think he got another.
Beyond, though, a little bit caught out here. Level 6, kind of beefy, and they just can't get to him. The boar slow is enough. It really seems like cdec can't even get a single opportunity.
I think if he roared Q there, they would have killed him. Because there was a Sunstrike available on Blink, and there was a Boar out as well. Obviously, it would have been risky, but
yeah,
with the cask already being down, I think they might have been able to.
Now, bottom again. We're going to see the Sunstrike used there as pretty much the easiest kill of your life. If Slardar's off the creep wave and you have a Chrono, you got to kill. Like, if you're willing to commit those resources, that's a dead hero no matter what.
cdec definitely suffering in this laning phase, and everyone is doing well. The other Titan's almost level 6. 7 minutes into the game. This is a support role who transitioned pretty much into... We got upgraded, I suppose, into off-lane
He
hero.
got a lot of good off-lane time, actually. I was surprised how well he was able to bully his way in.
He's got Earth Splitter up now. So any team fight that cdec try to take, they're always going to have to keep that in mind. I don't know, this early game from cdec, I've consistently been seeing Slarks lose in C and Chinese Dota. And it's simply because the pace of the game is just too fast for the hero. He needs like 1 or 2 core items before he really starts to feel that strong. And the rest of the heroes on his team are just struggling to make space until he reaches that point. But Wings, all of their heroes offer something without the need of, you know, farming. You get a Sunstrike on somebody with a disable on another lane, that's a kill. You don't even have to be there, it's non-committal. And then you have like Oracle, who dispels pretty much everything the Earth Spirit can do. He can sit in the back. There's not many ways to jump him. Just everything about Wings lineup is so synergistic in regards to what they need for this game.
Now cdec really need to make something happen. They're going to be going from smoke mid, Garter and Super, going to be heading up top here. This Elder Titan seems to be a good opportunity, but the Earth Spirit's abilities have to be on point, or suddenly you're Echo Stomped, and you might be seeing some rotations. Obviously the Invoker doesn't have to come, but you bring the Beastmaster and one more, and you're in a pretty good spot to take a skirmish. Now he's going to be scouting out the eastern flank, but instead he's going to be the one caught out. Wisp with the one stun and the Spirit Siphon. Can he get this stomp off in time? No, he's just going to be going down with Death Prophet claiming the last hit.
I find it a bit weird that he walked over there because it seemed that he knew that there were people there. And if you know they're there, walking over to kind of discover them or break the smoke, it doesn't really do anything.
You know, it was probably a miss micro where he was trying to control the Spirit and
it could have been
the hero at the same time. I mean, I might be significantly less skilled, but it happens to be all the time. Just trying to you control one entity, and they both go through.
Yeah, but that was a very much needed kill from cdec. It turns into a tower as well. So now they've gotten something on the board here in the early game. The Slark's still farming pretty well. Not quite up to Shadow's level of farm on the Void, but at the very least, he's not falling super far behind. The biggest concern is still that Wings overall were getting a lot more out of the laning phase in general, just because they essentially have like 3 people farming at the same rate, and then the Elder Titan, like we already had mentioned before, is still getting a lot.
So this is interesting. Poor Man's Shield Vanguard coming out from the Faceless Void. Oh, but mid lane we're going to be seeing some action here. Yao does get Roar Sun Strike, and that is going to be him going down, but at least they get a rebuttal. They have to rotate a lot of heroes for it, but these kills and making sure that they're not unrequited is pretty much crucial for them to actually break out into the mid game.
Yeah, there's no way they can't trade at this point. If they're not trading kills, that's just losing Dota. Because if they're pressuring the middle lane 24/7 and they're forcing Super to pop these defensive ultimates, that's a really bad thing for cdec. As Death Prophet, you want to be fighting on your own terms. You want to walk up to the enemy tier 1, you want to pop your exorcism and say, you need to come to us, not the other way around. So even in a normal trade, where you're trading like the Beastmaster off there for the Slardar, they're pretty much the same position on the team, but Super's not able to pressure a tower, and you really, really want to be able to do that as Death Prophet.
Yeah. Going back to the Shadow build here, topping out CS, he has gotten himself Treads, Poor Man's Shield, and the Vanguard, and while this won't really do much for him in terms of mitigating the damage from the Death Ward and the Exorcism, those will go right through the block, any other damage will pretty much struggle to bring him down, and if he just survives just long enough for the silences to end, he's going to be able to time walk back to at least half HP. So I really do feel like with this kind of a build, he can get very aggressive, very active, and could even still pursue that Radiance that we mentioned before.
I would be really surprised to see Radiance this game, because I don't feel like it's the item that really does a lot in the fight. It's more you want to draw the fight out as long as you possibly can.
Cask will bounce over and they'll get the Death Ward out along with that Malady. It's certainly going to be a kill, but will it be a turn as Chu get caught, and they're going to follow it up with the Chrono. Fortune's End takes out Q, and now they'll try to bash down Super, nuking it with the Purifying Flames, but he Spear Siphons, so there's no more flames coming out thanks to that silence, but a bash comes across, and that's going to be the death of the Prophet. So it is going to be Guardian TPing out, and it is probably going to be Wings just taking full control of their side of the map.
That was so aggressive from cdec, like walking into the enemy woods knowing that pretty much everything was up and ready, and of course the first showcase of Shadow coming to a fight with a nice Chrono, being able to get those 2 kills. It just seems like Wings have been playing kind of one step ahead this entire game, and it's just no pressure really out on the map from the side of cdec.
They're getting really impatient. They know that Rabbit's Shadow Blade has been taking a long time to build up. They know that the Slardar's Blink Dagger is going to be even longer, and though all those are their kind of keys to engagement for the mid game, they just feel like they have to do something sooner. So they go in a little bit overextended, they get punished, and back to the farm game. I mean, we'll get a Yule's out soon enough on Super, but right now it just feels like they're one step behind across the board.
Well, I suppose at the very least they're getting a nice D-ward here, so Q getting rid of the offensive vision coming out from Wings on that little hill there. And maybe it'll set up for a kill. Rabbit's got a Shadow Blade.
So Beyond successful in his TP out. Rabbit will claim that last hit, and they know about the Shadow Blade at least, so we're going to see some Observer Sentry combos coming out most likely from the side of Wings. That's one great thing about Oracle is you can just buy all the wards you want.
Yeah.
Like there are plenty of items that enhance his potential and are nice to have, but end of the day, wards and a few basic items, that's all you need.
And especially in a game like this, like I guess his biggest concern is possibly a Slark going in. But as long as you're pushing with that detection, like you said, it's very hard for the Slark to get into a good position without getting caught out first. And things like Chronosphere make it really difficult for a Slark in this position to get in. So Rabbit's sitting there saying, okay, well, if I jump the Witch Doctor, I could get roared. He could just like pop the ultimate on himself. I said Witch Doctor, I meant Oracle. He could false promise himself, and you know, at that point, do you really want to commit that many resources to killing him? So it's a pretty easy game to just sit in the back line and throw out all your spells if you're Ice here.
Alright, so it looks like it's going to be at least a smoke from the Radiant side, possibly from both. Yes, we're going to have a 5-man smoke from the Dire, and going to be 4-man smoking around Blink's Invoker. So the question is, do they kind of take the bait? Do they make their move on the mid? Wings know that cdec are hungry for it, but just how hungry? Yao kind of playing around with Roche.
Turn into Roshan, maybe.
I think they're kind of just showing, like, they're kind of, by doing that, the Roche goes out of the pit and maybe makes Wings move that direction. But they're in formation, they're ready to fight, and it's going to be here in the mid lane.
They are perfectly set up for this, Wings.
And they see Rabbit too, so they're just going to solo corner him. He tries to pounce out, but doesn't get it off. The Sunstrike damage is going to be enough to nuke him down, and now Super is the one who has to carry the engagement. Exorcism coming across, but a massive 3-man Earth Splitter from Innocence here, and they are just chunking them down. Still, the Oracle has fallen. So 1 for 2 at this point in time, and Super has a little bit left in the tank. He should be able to nuke down Shadow. Yes, he will. And now bottling up a Haster, and he's going to try to follow up on at least one more kill. But Yao getting nuked down by the summons. The Necros, the Wolves, and he is down, sleeping with the fishes. Now Q getting right-click. It's going to be the final duel of the century between the mid heroes, 1 versus 1, as the rest will fall.
Man, Exorcism, what a spell. If Super, I think, had died first instead of the Slark, that fight would have been an absolute massacre in favor of Wings. But she just does so much damage.
Yeah.
Just chasing around with Ghost the entire time. Just to give you an example, she did 3,500 damage in that fight. The next highest was 1,200 on the team. And that was the Witch Doctor. So, I'm... Ice.
He should be okay here. He's going to be able to heal himself up at the very least. If you use the wand, he's definitely alive. So, that is going to be just Oracle things with the False Promise. And Rabbit doesn't get the freebie with the Shadow Blade, but makes his move down bottom where they're hoping to take down the Void due to his lack of chrono.
Yeah, I really don't know if I agree with Shadow's Radiance build. I mean, the Vanguard is okay to me, but I think you need like Manta and Diffusal really fast this game just to make sure you don't die the same way you did.
Oh,
yeah, he did.
Nearly getting the time walk off, but yeah, seals his fate. It really just comes down to him, surviving through the basic combos here. You've got 2 silences that you're up against and potentially the Crusher Cask, so you do have to just get a little bit of time to get your spells out here. So I assume he'll go BKB after Radiance, if indeed the Radiance is his choice, but yeah, I do feel like when you're ranking this much, you're looking for an offensive pickup.
Yeah, I think that build is going to come back to bite them pretty hard. Now, granted, he doesn't really need to do any damage, so going for BKB and whatnot is probably fine. Just because, you know, if you have the Exort Invoker, you're going to have the Beastmaster with the Book 3 eventually, and the Elder Titan.
Very farmed Exort Invoker at that. He's almost to max Exort, and he's about to pick up an Axe.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much going for Blink at this stage in the game.
Now we'll see how many good team fights Wings can actually set up. The starter having a Blink Dagger is going to be a nice edge for cdec, and giving him another mode of initiation other than the Slark going in with the Shadow Blade. A lot of people see Shadow Blade as like this escape item, but in reality, and for competitive games, most people are just using it to start the fight because they expect people at this level to just have detection. And sometimes you try to go in from a weird angle, enemy team has a sentry, and we saw pretty much what happened to Rabbit, and that can be a little bit of a disaster. So having an alternative means to start a fight is always a very good thing if you're on the side of cdec, so we'll see what they can make of it.
Yeah. So we are going to be seeing the Echo Saber come out as a kind of natural progression after the Shadow Blade for Rabbit, but rather than go back to the Silver Edge, which is the most common Slark build-up, I'd actually love to see him pick up a Blink Dagger. The second you see your Shadow Dance come off because you're under a Sentry Ward, you just get out of there, because otherwise you're going to be chronoed.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice choice. I think the other option is, I mean, BKB is not really that useful, but you can go for something that gives you a little bit of health as well. But that, like, Scotty is the only thing that I would really like to see him pick up, but the build-up is just so bad. Like, buying 2 ultimate orbs just seems like a pretty big commitment. But cdec, in the meantime, they're going to be able to secure Roshan, and now they're going to go for a fight.
Jump from Yao here. Guardian going to be able to get some good damage out as well, but Earth Splitter at least going to chunk down the Earth Spirit. In the meantime, though, Rabbit trying to actually punish Shadow, but there's no way they kill him off before the Chrono comes out. Instead, it's going to be the Roar onto Garter, taking him down quickly. And now can we get the Chronosphere? There's no Blink Dagger, unfortunately. Another great item for around the same gold cost that we were talking about. And they just can't follow through. They actually are only able to get Garter out of that. And yeah, in the meantime, of course, the Aegis still alive and well on Slark.
Well, the Void's at least up to 2,800 gold now, so still, it's amazing to me that Rabbit is ahead of net worth in comparison to the Void, given the fact that Shadow had, like, in my opinion, maybe not an easier lane, but his team was doing much better, and they were pushing towers, and now they're going for the tier 2 as well. So he really needs to step up his game a little bit.
Well, Rabbit actually going to be going right here onto Faithion. Going to be able to nuke him down nicely, but the Chronosphere will come out. They'll heal up the Beast Master. The Meteor combo going to come out. Yao is going down quick, and Rabbit is ticking low as well. Death Ward on backline while they punch down on Blink on the front. He is not going to be able to survive through that one to get another spell off. The Super will be hit up by Shadow. Rabbit trying to flee. Shadow Blade coming up in just 3 seconds. He gets the line of sight. He gets the Shadow Dance, and he will be just fine. So, in the end, they do lose the DP and Slide Art, but I think the biggest kill is that Invoker. Now, though, under Sentry Ward, quickly disengaging. The Slark keeps that token still up.
I suppose if, you know, Shadow's living through these engagements like this, the Radiance will probably pay off a little bit, because 2 of those heroes got away with relatively low health.
Yeah,
you know,
the Blink is definitely the focus. Every fight, I think they have to pursue the Invoker or they're going to be in trouble. It's not like they have a clear way to deal with him, a Doom or something like that. This Invoker is going to be a menace as long as the fight goes on. So he is probably enemy number 1. And yeah, we'll see finally that Sacred Relic come out.
I suppose I have to be thankful for watching this game, because the last 2 games I cast were a cumulative like 40 minutes in total. So it's nice to see a game that's not already over, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, there are some kind of lopsided matchups here, but also it's just each team is trying to pull out something different here, and it's nice that in this case, while I still think that Wings have better team fight, cdec clearly have a really good potential to engage swiftly and to control a single hero. So if they get the right crush jump, if Rabbit finds an opening flanking through, then yeah, I think that there's still a great opportunity for cdec, and there's no way that this game could be decided on draft alone.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. The one thing, though, that I think that Wings are probably not doing as well as they could is choosing their targets. Like, Super needs to be dying in the beginning of the fight. There's no world where having a DP with, you know, Exorcism flying the entire duration is going to win you an engagement. You just need to be very decisive. You need Shadow to be able to go in and just grab that. Oh, Sentry down here. See you later, Rabbit.
Yeah, did not catch that one in the trees. He's going to be in some trouble here. No hero to block the pounce, so it looks like he'll slip out, but they're happy to get an ulti and an Aegis out of that Slark in one quick go without much more than the Roar committed. Now the question is, will Super be able to get out of this one? He's got some movement speed with that Yules, but it's coming up quick is this Echo Stomp. It's going to be hitting on Q, in fact, and I think they'll follow this up. Yao, looking for an opportunity.
He just wants to kill a Necro, man. Gotta get that gold.
Yeah, nice experience too. So gotta make up for the lost laning stage, but that was I expected Wings to go a little bit further with that. I don't know. There's low man on the Void. That there is no Roar, but yeah.
I suppose he was really close to his Radiance as well. Like, he just picks it up. Maybe not willing to take the risk before they have the Radiance in a team fight, because it does make a pretty huge chunk of difference how much damage he's going to be able to deal in the fight, especially if he lands like a multiple hero chrono. I don't really blame Wings too much for that. They keep the tier 1 alive. They got the Aegis off the Slark. Rabbit's not going to be feeling, you know, indestructible during these team fights anymore, and it does force cdec back.
Alright, so Rabbit is going to be going in for that Silver Edge as the next pickup there. Meantime, Super has a BKB, so Yules and BKB here. I like to mention it's not the most effective spell, but it still has a lot of merits here.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And in the meantime, Wings, they're looking for a fight now.
Blink is not here. He has BOTs to the Necros or any of the summons, but mostly just going to try to get a Sunstrike out with the initiation on the Roar. But actually going to be cdec moving past Wings, and while those scans are coming out into the Radiant Jungle, neither will find it.
Oh, it spotted
just barely clipped Super here. He actually kind of left the pack, and now they definitely know that they're in the Southern Quadrant, and hopefully expect them to come back into the mid.
Yeah, their positioning was so close. to actually spotting them out. They were walking on the high ground into Secret Shop, while the rest of CDEC were just going right down that path towards the bottom rune. And just having to run back to base now. It's a nice move by Wings, actually, just pressuring mid, realizing that they're there, very far away from defending the base, and they're getting a ton of damage on this tier 3.
DP is going to be nuked down so quickly here, and Garter is in some trouble as well, but they'll first roar up onto Q. No level of Voodoo Restoration is going to save you there, but the cores are back in action as Super buys back, and they're going to be able to go right on to Faith Beyond. And False Promise and the TP will be Yule's, so he's not going to get that Fountain Regen ×2. Ice Ice in the meantime, silenced and now out of life. And Slark moving back into the base to try to keep their racks alive as Blink was pushing that entire time with the Necros. So
that Rax had like 100 HP
exactly.
left.
Very, very close call there. And I really do like Wings' battle plan there, because what they were able to do was open up all their summons and go onto the melee racks or onto tier 3 while they knew that cdec were all coming in from the south. They had seen them, they had scanned them, they knew that that was the direction they were coming from. So for Wings to go in and just start putting massive damage into tier 3 and into the structures, and then moving to the east to head them off as they make their way up from the bottom lane, that was essentially the best way that they could engage that fight and also make sure that they were getting some really good structural damage. Unfortunately, with the DP having enough for buyback, kills go the other way, but long-term victories coming out for Wings.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing, I think, that Wings did wrong in that engagement at all. It was more just weird that everyone from CDEC, they just didn't TP to base.
Yeah.
Like, they saw that Wings were pushing down mid, they had all of their team fight abilities up, and they just didn't TP.
Garter caught out, gonna be Sunstruck and hit by the Axes, but gonna need a little bit more damage from the Oracle. Now Beyond gonna be going on, and it looks like he'll be going down. False Promise again. Can he get the TP off this time? See a lot more damage flying out between that ET and that Invoker. So yes, the Beastmaster will indeed pop, but they get 3 in return, and that's a dieback on the DP.
That is absolutely painful. They might get Rabbit as well. Chrono comes out.
There it is. Really good damage coming out from the Oracle here. He's able to secure a number of kills as they just keep the offense rolling. Shows the versatility of the hero, but with this, the DP's down for 50 as well as Slark. All they need is this creep wave in, and they are going to be taking the mid lane.
This is like Wings just performing very well so far in these qualifiers. Like after watching them play against Hongfu, you have these victories that you see where you just know that everyone is communicating well. Their drafts make a lot of sense, and they just seem to be rolling here. And CDEC just do not seem to have much of an answer.
Yep, so they're also going to be taking the top tier 2 as well. Bottom tier 2 probably a little bit more valuable because the potential for Roshan from cdec, but all the same, they're definitely getting some more map control, and they're getting some good wards up in their retreat.
This is just... It's already almost to a point where CDEC are stuck up against a wall. Because their Slark, I guess having the BK... No, is he going back for BKB? He bought a Mithril Hammer when he has a Silver Edge recipe.
Yeah.
I guess it's only like 300 gold, so it's not really that big of a commitment.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, you're still up against Beastmaster Roar, you're still up against the ET Aura as well as the Chrono. It's not like an optimal game to play Slark in the first place. But when you have to buy BKB, and you know that you're kind of lacking damage at this point, assuming that the Death Prophet's going to be one of the primary focuses, which it definitely was during the last engagement, I just feel like he's kind of stuck in how he needs to progress in items. I think that CDEC needs to just smoke up, find a very good pick, maybe try to go for the tier 1 mid afterwards, and try to gain some map control, because if they don't, Wings are going to just simply walk away with this win.
Yeah, so what's the game changer here? I mean, Witch Doctor is moving towards that Aghanim Scepter. Is that going to make much of a difference? Is there anything else that cdec really need at this point in time?
I think that the Witch Doctor Ags is always a big deal. My biggest concern is they just don't have really that good a setup for it. I mean, you have pretty much your own cask and then a Slardar stun, perhaps, and that's about it. And there are ways to interrupt it from long distance, like just throwing out the Elder Titan Spirit into a stomp. It's an amazing counter against Witch Doctor because you don't have to be in the fight to stop it.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of concerned that there's not really a single item that CDEC can get that's going to make a huge difference, because they don't have any counterplay to the Chronosphere. That's another thing. And with Shadow also having the Blink Dagger, his initiation range has just increased like tenfold. So now all he has to do is catch out Super with a Chrono. You get a Sunstrike, Meteor, and an Earth Splitter. There's no counterplay for CDEC. They can't save him.
And they're just going as hard as they can into these BKBs, which means that buybacks are going to be quite limited here. In fact, no buybacks right now for the Dire whatsoever. Just a couple on the Radiant side. We're going to see the Roar come out up top here. Rabbit taking a lot of damage, just killed off by the Invoker, and the Beastmaster together. The Necros really just doing so much damage too quickly, and the Slark is just incapable. I mean, he buys the BKB to try to survive in a fight, but that happens. Like, there's just no real easy answer. And I mean, obviously, the Blink Roar, you would assume that he should have a response. He should be able to at least Shadow Dance away from that, but sometimes
he didn't have Dark packed up when he got roared. I think he used it to kill the creep wave, and then the teleport came in for Faith Beyond, and it was like 2 seconds on cooldown. So just unfortunate timing, but I still think that in this region, Slark is just not working. I have not seen this hero do well. Every single time somebody picks it, they lose it. And I think it's just because, again, teams like Wings, you know, everyone else in the qualifier is just playing too fast-paced Dota. And Slark against 5-man Dota with no items does not work.
Definitely not. He's definitely a very different style of hero, and just in general, China is much more team fight centric. It's much more about the 5-on-5, AoE, damage and disable is the big thing here. That's why Tidehunter is most picked in the Chinese region compared to any other. So that's just doesn't really fit well with what Slark is trying to do. And even this ET, you mentioned the draft, but really limiting the Slark's potential survivability. And that's in late game. In the early and mid, it's just the fact that he's constantly being forced to and fro. He's constantly being forced to react, forced to move. While that was kind of an issue for Void, and you mentioned that the net worth on Shadow was significantly under Rabbit's, it's now like...
He passed him by quite a bit.
He's surpassed him just through assists, essentially.
Yeah. It's a team fight versus the I want to try to get my item progression up kind of lineup, and I suppose in some ways that's fine for cdec, but it always requires very good execution, whereas Wings can just play 5-man Dota as much as they want, and it's not as if cdec are going to be able to counter push without committing a lot, because you have to protect Super. You can't just have him be alone in the side lane like pushing out, otherwise you're going to get ganked by the Beastmaster or a Blink Void. So cdec's options are pretty much get a pick on your own terms if Wings decide to back for another objective like Roshan, which they obviously aren't going to right now. But if you can find that opening, that's great. Otherwise, you have to fight Wings. You can't avoid it.
Still a lot of patience here from Shadow in the trees, trying to hide out with the Elder Titan and try to go for this full combo. If they get the Chronosphere Earth Splitter, it could be the game-winning combo. But this patience will only get them so much if cdec aren't really willing to defend their tower. And now they are going to be going aggressive, but getting cold feet at the last moment. Sleep does come out on Rabbit, but I don't think that's the setup. They're perfectly willing to just keep poking at this tier 3. They've already gotten a lot of damage on it, and they know that 2 lanes will mean victory.
And realistically, this could be the end here for cdec if they don't defend properly. The thing that I also find strange is they even put a ward down knowing that Faith Beyond has Book 3 available. Like, they can just pop Book within the 4 experience of Blink and just walk up to the high ground and just continually hit buildings.
Yeah, just any extra vision they can get to try to assess the situation, position against the Chrono. They're hoping it'll be enough. They finally get the Witch Doctor, Aghanims, Ether Lens, Death Ward here, and they have to make sure this channel goes full duration. That's the bottom line.
His positioning needs to be immaculate, otherwise they're just going to get wrecked.
I think they're still willing to go on Rabbit here if they get the opportunity. Sunstrike just cuts out. Yeah, they will go on Rabbit, but he does get the BKB off in the meantime, so this is not a free kill by any stretch, and Super will be going in. Garter's the Roar target of all things, and now the Death Ward does come through, but Shadow gonna be able to get that time walk away, at least getting some distance here, and will be healed up in the process. Now Super a bit exposed, low on mana. The Garter will actually be going down in the backline, but Slaughter blinks in very aggressively and isn't gonna do enough to bring down the Void, who finally does fall, only to respawn shortly thereafter. Tornado will be immediately purged off, but they've already gotten 2 buybacks out of this, and a 3-kill swing for an Aegis.
Definitely not the fight that cdec were looking for, having to commit buybacks, not really getting anything out of it. Wings just dealing a huge amount of economical damage there. There's just no answer. I mean, that was probably the best way that they could have gotten jumped on, because the Slark didn't instantly die due to BKB going off. So Rabbit's reaction time was on point, and they still can't fight.
Absolutely not. I mean, it's just kind of the current situation that you're looking at here. We're going to see the EMP go across. Self-heals will help out the DP, but that Shadow, cheeky as can be, time dilation will hit onto 3 heroes, and now it's going to be cute going down with no respawn and no buyback. Bottom lane has been broken, and with that, the game is almost out of cdec's hands. We're going to see them try to go for a backline TP with Slark while we see the Slaughter just barely take enough damage to be dropped down. Roar comes out on DP, will be taking a spill, and what's Slark up to in the meantime? Just fishing around.
Man, that was unbelievable. Wings are just on a roll right now. They seem to be feeling themselves in terms of what heroes they want to play. They have a really good answer for at least Slark. They just destroyed it 2 games in a row. I really think that people need to stop picking that hero against Wings because they just... The way that they've been playing is so 5-man oriented and just fight, objective, fight, that Slark just does not meet the timing criteria in order to pick it against this team. Like, you need to set it up better, or you need to have heroes that can just dominate their lanes so hard that it makes up for the fact that Rabbit needs time. Like, if you're going to give him a hero like that, he absolutely needs space creators. And with the Slardar needing a blink, and the Slark needing farm, and the Death Prophet not getting ulti until like level 9, you just don't have any time, because Wings are already in your face by that point.
Yeah, I was really surprised what Instance was able to do in that offlane. I thought maybe he was just kind of hanging out there for a few minutes, and then he'd inevitably have to go and just do counter initiation on mid and play it very passively. But he actually got right up in Slark's face multiple times. The Witch Doctor Slark was not as good as expected to really zone him back, and he actually even set up a kill on Slark pretty early on in the game. So all in all, Wings, great execution, great Sunstrike play. I won't say from Blink, it was from Wings. The Wings across the board were able to set up so many great Sunstrikes, find so many kills, and therefore win their lanes and win the game. So really great stuff from them. That is going to be wrapping up this best of 1 here with a 3-1 scoreline now for Wings here, going into the 5th heat of the TI6 Chinese qualifier. Thank you guys once again for tuning in. I'm myself and Blaze. You can follow me at BlazeCasting and Draskell at DraskellDota2. And that was our first cast together. It was a lot of fun, but we're going to be jumping over to a cast with myself and Owen OD Pixel, and that'll be coming up here in just a few minutes. So stay tuned, guys. Thanks for tuning in to BTS 6 in the TI Hub.